Welcome to episode 20 of Whole Lot of Wolves. We're your hosts. I'm Joshua Buckley.
And I'm Paul LePage.
And we are pleased to welcome back friend of the show, David Koppe of New York Wolves. David was with us from episode 2. Can you already believe we're on episode 20, Paul?
I know.
It's crazy. It's crazy. The season's just going by fast. But David was on episode 2. We want him to come on back and join us to talk about the insanity that was today's game against Arsenal. David, how's it going?
Good. I have recently emerged from my lay down in my dark room that I needed after the match today, so ready to go.
So, since the last podcast, Wolves played 2 games. They had the 1-0 loss to Crystal Palace, which I think had all of us day drinking very early. And then what happened today, which was the 2-1 win against Arsenal, which I got a kick out of it. The Wolves Twitter profile said, thoroughly deserved victory. Well, I don't know about that, but it was a victory. It was 3 points. And it was probably one of the silliest, most glorious games I've seen in a long time. Paul, what did you think of what occurred today?
First 10 minutes in, I was fearing the worst. They were tearing us a new one, especially down the left-hand side. And Saka had the run of Kilman, and I really felt for Kilman because he looked at fish out of water at left back. And I love the kid, but geez, we're missing a proper left back or a left wing back. And then it had just those chances and hit the woodwork twice. They had the goal disallowed. I can't tell you that I thought it was going to be our lucky day because we just looked dreadful. But then there were occasionally a little bright spark, but we weren't getting a hold of the midfield whatsoever. And few minutes on, middle of that half, they went ahead and scored. And I thought it'd be a case of opening the floodgates like the rain was coming down. I thought it was going to rain goals down on the Wolves, but the rest of the half didn't really show at all. I thought we were getting absolutely battered in the middle of the park. And if that was one example of a midfielder that I would love in a Wolves shirt, it was Thomas Partey, who I thought was phenomenal. That's exactly the calibre and stature of player that I'd love to see in the middle of the Wolves midfield. And I really didn't think we'd had a hope. And I think the NBC coverage, I was getting up to put the kettle on for a halftime cup of tea with a couple of shots of whiskey in it, I think. But they were doing, I think, a replay when it cut to Podence and he put the through ball into Willian Jose, and there we go. Suddenly we got a penalty, and on that first glance, you thought it was going to be overturned, but yeah, definite contact. And the 2 Robbies in the studio at halftime certainly highlighted that and where it occurred. And yeah, letter of the law, he had to go. So going in with parity, it was crazy lucky.
Yeah, it should have been 4-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
Like, it should have been 4-0 after like 20 minutes, it felt like. So to go in 1-1 was just absurd.
And then second half, we say that they were up against 10 men, but we were up against Man City, a man in the game last season, and they went 2-0 in front with 10 men, and we couldn't lay a glove on him in that game and came back to win. So yeah, it's still tough when you're up against 10 men. And I freely admit, I was telling to myself, I say they need to make a change at halftime in the middle of the park. I think they need some legs in there. I'd take Moutinho off and put Sowie on and just say, off you go, kid, go and run, chase them down, everything. And then up pops the little maestro with that perler. But where have those been for 18 months? What are we just seeing with that? Phenomenal goal. And yeah, they did what they had to do in the second half. And I thought they controlled it pretty well. And having their keeper sent off was a bonus for us, and could have wrapped it up. And that Vitinha chance in the last 10 minutes, that would have put the icing on the cake, because I was certainly still nervous that the Wolves' nerves kicked in for sure. So that would have seen it out nicely. But let's take the look. We don't get it often. Let's take it and let's build on it.
David, Hey, you said you've recovered from it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, my cousins, my dad's side of the family are all Arsenal fans, so this one has a special place in my heart. I was so glad when we beat them last season, first time since 1979. But I was really nervous coming into this one because we all know we've been on a terrible run. We've been not just a lot of bad luck, we've actually been playing badly and we haven't really been deserving much, to be honest. It feels horrible to say that. I thought we were a bit unlucky to lose to Palace. We weren't terrible there. We didn't create a lot, but I thought we defended fairly well. Just that one moment where they nicked the goal and we couldn't get it back. So I was really nervous. And conversely, Arsenal have gone the other way since we beat them. They were on a resurgence. So I was really nervous about today. And the first 20 minutes just confirmed that. I actually missed the shot against the post. We had a work all hands call, which I was just settling down, watching on my iPad with my AirPods in and flipping back and forth to the telly. And all of a sudden it was coming back off the post. Thought, oh, bloody hell, that's a great start.
90 seconds into the game.
And to be honest, you were talking about Kilman at left back. He was struggling. But to be honest, I couldn't actually work out whether it was a back four or a back five. Because sometimes Pedro Neto was back there at left wing back. I think that tells you all, and you can't even tell what formation you're playing.
Yeah, I think it was still a back four. I think they just saw, though, that poor Kilman. It's very much like you're playing FIFA and you try and put your center back at left back and he gets like a -20 rating. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And poor Kilman stuck out there.
Who's a Villa fan 6-1 on FIFA. Yeah.
Yeah. It was almost like they were trying to get Kilman a little bit more in a comfortable position by dropping Neto back. It was very odd to watch.
God bless him for trying, and hey, it was a good idea to try it, but don't do that again.
Yeah, don't do it again.
And we rode our luck, definitely. You couldn't have complained if we were 3 or 4 down at the break. And then it was funny, actually, my wife had just walked out of the living room into the kitchen. And I forget, I missed it as well. And all of a sudden I turned around and look at I think I was just disgusted and just not wanting to watch anymore, walk out, and all of a sudden turn around, there's a red card. I thought, wait, what's going on? So she was not allowed to come back in the living room for the rest of the match. So she was watching through at her own choice, I will add. I didn't banish her, lock the door or anything. But let's be honest, we've earned that luck. Yeah, I don't think anyone really would say that should have been a red card. If the laws of the game say that's a red card, then the laws of the game should be changed. Yeah, there's contact, so I think a penalty's fair. But that's triple jeopardy. A penalty, a red card, and a suspension. That shouldn't be. But hey, how many matches have we got the wrong end of the stick on that one? Calm as a bitch, right? Hey, we got a bit of luck. Never scored the penalty, and then it was always advantage us for the second half, and thankfully. I think to your point about Paul about Moutinho coming off, Andy from New York Wolves is saying, given that he seemed to have been gone for portions of the game and he was already on a yellow, he was saying actually in our chat, take Moutinho off and all of a sudden he rockets one in from 500 yards. And then it was obviously advantage us. And what the hell Leno was thinking, I do not know how he thought he was going to get away with that. But hey, we'll take it. But we were still hanging on at the end there. I think Sami gave away that free kick. The goalie came up and took it. And you're thinking, bloody hell, if we don't win this, if we should just be relegated on the spot for not winning the game to left when we're already up. But we'll take it.
Yeah, when the first half was going on, I felt like we were going to come on and I was just going to be cursing David Luiz for the fact that sucker ruined Wolves' season and everything. And then he got the red card and I wasn't very sorry to see him go. You want to talk about karma? There was your karma right there.
Beautiful moment. So, my friend is an Arsenal fan. He always gives me grief because I'm always complaining on Facebook about VAR. And he after that, he texted me. He said, "You better not say anything about VAR." He was saying, watch us implode in the second half. And I said, actually, we've been really getting good at imploding recently. So I'm not sure who will win the implosion sweepstakes. But when Leno got himself sent off, I did have to concede that they out-imploded us in the second half.
One thing I loved today was Moutinho's passion in the celebration. Because there's no fans there. That was purely driven by him and the teammates. And I really hope that was a sign of what it means to him. And hopefully for me, certainly some support for Nuno and the management, that it is a team effort. It's not solely on him. The players are responsible just as much as the coaching staff are when they cross that line and go out onto the pitch. So it was great as a fan to see that type of passion, and really hope it's a building block. And I think more positives. I think apart from their goal, Semedo had a really good game. I'd still like to see him attack the box a little bit more, and he's got the skill to at least get in there, maybe draw a foul or cause some trouble. And I think he's got a shot on him, and I could see him putting one in the top corner from 20 yards out if he cuts in and takes a shot. And there were positives again from Willian with his hold-up play and bringing others into the game. I think he's not too far away from getting on the end of a cross and putting one in the back of the net. And I think out of all the attacking players, I thought Neto was fantastic and absolutely had Bellerin on strings. Couldn't get close to him. That bodes well.
I actually think Willian was the man of the match for me. His hold-up play was great. His passing, he's got like just a really creative touch. He had several backheel passes. He did a great job anticipating what opponents would see when he drew the penalty. The only thing he hasn't been able to do is find himself on the end of one of those Adama or Neto crosses, but I feel like that's coming. Just in the short amount of time he's been playing, you can see he's getting more comfortable of knowing where his teammates are going to be. And he was a real impact. I honestly felt like even when the onslaught was going on, he was still making some positive plays out there. So to me, that was my man of the match.
He's a great addition.
Also showed he's got a shot on him as well, and it was the effort in the second half from outside the box. So if he's got that to his game, that he can pick the ball up in those areas and defenders are backing off or they're worried that shot might be coming, or he's able to, they're closing down, he can knock it off and put someone into space. But yeah, he's got that threat to his game as well. And yeah, not one in the top bin from 25 yards out again. That'll be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's something we haven't really had. I was hoping he'd get a goal today. Yeah, against 9 men, a really good chance, almost a practice session. I was hoping he'd just get himself a goal, get off the mark, and get that confidence. But I think you're right, Josh. His confidence is coming back. His link-up play is getting better, and hopefully that just keeps continuing. And Paul, like you said, you think about it, that's something that Raul was phenomenal. He had that shot today. Fair enough, it went straight at the goalie, but he tried it. It was a nice shot. And foot or two either way, and that's screaming in. A lot of good signs, I think.
I think unless he gets hurt, I think it's pretty much a given that we're gonna pay that $19 million at the end of this season for the summer, because he's worth it. If Raul does come back, there's no way you're going to be playing him every game, and you can just see now the differences of having somebody in there with experience that Silva doesn't have yet.
Yeah, it's a massive deal, because you think Neto, Traore, Pedence. Okay, Pedence was out a little while, but it's great having those tricky, skillful, fast, wide players. But when there's nobody in the middle, if you think about a lot of the chances we created, yes, Pedence and Neto scored a few goals, but a lot of them were because either people were watching Raul and let them go, or they linked up with Raul, got free, and he passed it back to them. So when you don't have that central fulcrum, the wide players, just, what do they do? So I think just having somebody there, and I think the jury's out a little bit on Silva, but someone like Willian who's established, and I honestly, from the YouTube videos I've seen of him, I feel like he's a Raul clone, which is brilliant. He's really going to make it. Already is making a difference.
Paul, who was your man of the match?
Man of the match, I'd go with Neto still. I think that was our real creative spark, and again, Energizer Bunny, that he kept on running. He had that one chance where he pretty much went the whole length of the pitch and could have gone down for a penalty. Maybe could have shot earlier. Maybe like to see him get a shot off a little earlier on occasions, but that might come. Out of him and Traore, he stood out. Traore obviously came into it more in the second half when it was harder to mark him, especially harder to stick 2 men on him. But just seeing, I love it when he knocks the ball past them and off he goes, and he's got.
He always taunts
them,
right?
Like that. He's like that.
He waits for the 6 defenders to come. He stands there like dum dum dum. Okay, All right, and off we go.
It's such a basic schoolboy play. It's not tricky. There's the ball. He goes the other way, and off he goes. You can't catch him unless you trip him up. So, yeah, that was some positives there. Shout out what I spotted as well was Vitana coming on and did well because he was able to get more of a hold of the ball, I felt, in that final third. I didn't think Podence at the moment, whether he's coming back from injury, he just seems like he's being a bit 1 in 3. One good game and off the ball on Saturday, a few misplaced passes today. Hopefully that's injury related and he gets his form back. But I thought when Vitana came on, he did well as the more forward advanced midfielder and would have been nice if he'd have topped it off with a goal. But yeah,
Ben seemed a bit annoyed when he came off. Probably one because he wants to play more because he's come back from injury. But I wonder if part of that was he could have done better in the time he had on the pitch. But that's fair enough. He'll get that back, I think.
And he gets beat up a lot during games. Like I don't think people talk about that as much.
Even the ref did it today. Did you see that one? The start of the second half, and it's just because he's so small. The ref turned around, whacked him in the face, and
I didn't see that. That's brilliant.
Just, all of those little things. It's just because. And even if he turns and runs into something, it's just his head going there into someone's chest because he's that small.
Was it Palace, I think? Or it might have been Everton. But we got a free kick for it, so the penalty area, and it was he ran into the other defender's elbow. It wasn't raised; he just ran into his elbow. his head was level with the defender's elbow. Now, hey, we got a free kick. Who cares?
Yeah, you have to be a tough little bugger to survive those, and I'm sure those take their toll after a while. He's always the one that's drawn the fouls, so. Probably the next game, I'd be okay with him taking a little bit of a rest. And Paul, you were mentioning Adama when he was just running by people. That's what caused Leno to panic and just inexplicably hit the ball away when he was out of the box with his hand. I don't think he was coming out quick enough. I don't think Adama could have gotten the ball from there, but that was totally done because they're petrified of Adama one-on-one getting a clear break, and it was just a panic move.
I actually missed that live because I saw the ball coming down, and then I think I just turned away just as Leno came out, and all of a sudden I turn around and there's flags waving and whistles blowing. What happened? All of a sudden a red card comes out. I basically missed both red cards.
David, were you watching any of the game?
No, I'm going to start turning away at strategic moments because good things seems to happen.
I think we'll have
superstitious bugger.
We'll have to get your wife on next time, David. I think instead. I think she.
There you go. Yeah.
She had a better viewpoint of it from the other room where she was watching.
Yeah. But it's funny. She we just moved a few months ago, and she was sorting through a box, one of the many unpacked boxes, and she found her dad had some Valium from when he had surgery and he was having a lot of back pain several years ago, and she found an old bottle of Valium, and I thought, oh, that's a good time to find that because I feel like I need some of that right at the moment. The final whistle, I needed a little something to calm me down.
Age is like a fine wine, I imagine. So
yeah, right. Yeah. I didn't. Just to be clear, there were no illegal prescription drugs taken during the evening.
So I see a lot of people on Twitter, they were like, oh, this could jumpstart a team, all this stuff. I'm not ready to go that far because of it wasn't like they dominated. It was a very fluky, crazy game. Yes, these can give momentum, but I'm not really to jump on that bandwagon yet. How about you guys?
No, I don't know if Dazzling Dave, he does a YouTube show, and he had me on his show earlier today as well. And a couple of the people before me were saying, this will kickstart our season. We can beat Southampton in the cup and hopefully get a good cup run going. And I think we got the confidence now to beat Leicester. And I'm going, we beat a team of 9 men with single goal and almost messed it up at the end. So let's just take a deep breath. 3 points, good performance at time. But, all of the problems of the last 3-4 months have not just magically gone away. So no, I think it's good and confident. Wins breed confidence. So I think it's a massive result for us. But we're not going to suddenly go on a 10-game winning streak, I don't think. I hope we do. I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to be turning away at strategic moments to help the cause. I will be curious to see the match against Leicester and how we react to this one.
I'm the same. I wasn't holding out much hope for a point, let alone 3 out of this game, and especially after the first 10 minutes, first half. So to come away from 3 is a huge bonus, but it's baby steps, and we could take this as a bonus, as 3 points that we weren't necessarily going to get. If anything, it just eases the pressure that it's 3 points towards safety, if that is really a big issue. I don't think it is, but you get those dark clouds forming, obviously, on such a run. But it's 3 points in the table. It's another game out the way. It's another game potentially to some of our players coming back from injury, which obviously we talked about. Left back, that's a crucial need to get a able body there, be it Marcel or Johnny or whoever, before the end of the season. Sooner the better as far as that goes. So take what today was on its merits and move on from there.
Yeah, I agree. Just have fun, enjoy today for what it was, but don't forget the first 30 minutes of the game, which was quite concerning.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of injury. How many left backs are we losing? We've lost 4. It's just for all of the lack of injuries for the last 3 years, for the most part, we definitely caught up with us this season. So take it for what it is.
Yeah, we didn't just lose a starting left back. We lost the backup left back, and the backup's backup left back, and the backup's left back. And but poor Kilman, bless his heart. I hope he doesn't get put in that position again. I don't know who. I would guess they're going to have to move Semedo over there and just put Hoover in and deal with it.
I laughed when they moved Semedo over to the left on Saturday against Palace. Because he's been getting a lot of flack, and I think maybe a little unfairly. I feel like with Semedo, he is dangerous going forward, which obviously coming from Barcelona, you'd expect him to. But you'd also expect that maybe he's not the best defensively, because Barcelona normally have 98% possession, so you don't really need to defend very much. And if you do and you mess up and give up a goal, Messi's going to go score 7 anyway, so who cares? So I suppose it is what it is, and I think people missed Matt Doherty. He's been getting a bit of flack, and I think somewhat justifiably, but also a little hard. And then I thought, so he's struggling to defend, and he's as a right-sided wing back. How is moving into his wrong side going to help? But he did well. He seemed to do pretty well at left back. Or left.
That's valid. He seemed to enjoy going forwards into the opposition box on Saturday, but his out was always to cut inside, and that's where he ran into trouble, because there's more bodies. So if he could develop that part of his game, then he could be an able alternative. But if it was me, it just takes too much away from his attacking intent to put him on the left, when he was just getting to the opposition half and stopping pretty much, or coughing up the ball. Where if it was me, I'd have kept him where he was and just given Hoover that brief just to stay at left back, hit the halfway line. That's as far as you go. Your remit is just defend, don't go any further, because he's capable enough. He's got good control. He's decent at passing. He's a good defender. So that would have been my pick, just so that you didn't cut off Semedo's natural ability down the right. But yeah, I think they've got to revert to something on Sunday that's more fluid on the full-backs or wing-backs, whichever way he takes it.
We're Wolverhampton, we're on our way back.
On to previewing the upcoming Leicester game this coming Sunday morning. And joining us once again is Jim Harris from Texas Foxes supporters group here in Houston. Jim was with us for the first fixture, and so we welcome him back in. How's it going, Jim?
Great. Hey, Josh. How are you? Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me back.
So up until last Sunday, things were only pointed upward for you guys, but then you ran into the good Leeds team, which shows up every once in a while. But you guys still have your eyes set on top 4 this year?
Yeah, I think very much so. We've got our eyes firmly on top 4 this season. I've got a lot of faith in Brendan Rodgers. I don't think he's a manager that repeats the same mistake twice. And so extra preparation in place for the top four after falling off a little bit last season as well. We made some good signings over the summer, and I think actually we didn't have our new signing when we played you last, maybe. So looking forward to seeing how it goes, but Jamie Vardy being out is a bit of a struggle for us at the moment.
And how did the transfer window, the winter one, work out for you guys, Jim? And how's that going to impact the squad that we'll come up against on Sunday?
So was there a transfer window this winter? I'm not sure. Really, no incomings from us. Pretty disappointing, actually. A lot of talk about potentially signing a backup for Vards, but it wasn't to be. I think it's been a tough winter for everyone. Not a lot of money, and those clubs that do have good players don't want to let them go either. I think we dodged the bullet with Nathaniel Chalobah potentially coming in from Watford, who can't really even make the Watford team week to week. But I think that's an act of desperation. But move on. It would have been nice to have a bit more depth. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So on Sunday, who are the informed dangermen that Wolves need to be concerned about?
If you'd have asked me before we played the good Leeds, I probably would have said James Maddison. I think he was on fire for the last few weeks, but he had a pretty anonymous game, unfortunately, against the team from West Yorkshire. Hopefully he can bounce back. I think he's got like the right mentality. Everyone has an off game, but I think between him, Yuri Tielemans as well is just pulling the strings and starting to really get his legs under him. But I think, as I mentioned to you last time, Harvey Barnes was the guy to watch, and I think it's been pretty proven. I'm patting myself on the back as we speak at the moment about him. He's not really come from nowhere. Baggies fans will be very well versed with him, but he's really kicked on, and I think he's exceeded everyone's expectations this season as well. And there may be a young man called James Vardy coming back on Sunday, just in time to face you as well.
He can go ahead and take an extra game off, but just to make sure he's in form. That's fine.
Yeah, but he's not scored in a while. It's not been. He may be due one if he comes back.
And the flip side of that, Jim, what about the areas that the Wolves can exploit midway through the season now?
I'm not sure I should really be answering that, Paul. I think it would be giving away all secrets. No, I think so. We're going to have a couple of injuries, critical ones, potentially 4 big players for us. So we'll see. Castaña's come back in, done really well, but he could be missing on Sunday. It's touch and go whether he plays tomorrow against Fulham as well. Same with Wesley Fofana, who's been a revelation, to be honest. He was a great signing late in the summer transfer window. 20-year-old lad just stepped in, and wow, I think potentially one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. Maybe that's my blue-tinted spectacle saying that. And Vardy could be out, and Ndidi could be out. So I think you might have some joy down the left-hand side, your left-hand side, our right-hand side. If we play Ricardo, he's just coming back. He's not quite up to match fitness. He bombs forward, might leave some space. And with him and Fofana being out down the right side of our defense, you're going to maybe have Johnny Evans stepping over to the right and Soyuncu coming in on the left. So you may get a little bit of joy down your left. But hopefully it'll be a bit more of an exciting game than the last time we played as well.
Lucky for you guys, we don't have a left back right now, so...
Yeah, and especially with your wing backs, we may get some joy down that side instead. And I think Ndidi's going to be a big miss. He's going to be definitely missing. And so there's not really going to be that steal in midfield. We'll have a combination of Mendy, who, again, kicked on really well after we thought he was just going to leave and be surplus to requirements. And Tielemans will be in there too, but we won't have that. I think Mendy's probably one of the best holding midfielders in the league for sure.
Yeah, I love me some Ndidi, man. That's somebody who I always go after in FIFA.
Yeah. He's a top quality player.
Yeah.
He's added a bit more passing to his game now. He's starting to hit them a bit harder and a bit flatter. Last season, he would just float them and they wouldn't really be effective. But now he's really breaking up play, and he's also winning the ball a lot higher upfield as well. He's a big miss. I think he may be a bigger miss than Vardy, to be honest.
Yeah, Vardy can take his time too. That's fine.
We'll see what happens, Josh, on that one. He may sneak back in.
If you're at school or building your experience in digital communications and would like to help with everything that goes into putting a whole lot of Wolves together, then get in touch. We're always on the lookout for willing hands when it comes to graphic design, social media and podcast production. Send us an email at hello@wholelotofwolves.com. Again, that's hello@wholelotofwolves.com, and we hope to welcome you onto the team.
Let's now discuss what we have in store going up against Leicester City. Who is going to play left back or left wing back? David, are you available?
Left back is I don't have a left foot and I can't defend, so left back is my worst possible position. Which is ironic because in 2000 I actually played in Mike Stoll's testimonial. There's a thing called, what do they call it? Football aid. I don't know if they still do it. Obviously, it's probably suspended now because of the pandemic. But you can basically you make a donation for a charity and you play at Molyneux, and they have some former players playing. But they basically did the same thing right before Mick Stoll's testimonial, and I'd been out with my brothers, had a couple of beers the night before, so I got there a little bit late and I got stuck at left back. I'm playing at Molyneux, I'm on the hallowed turf, and I'm playing in the position I hate the absolute most, but hey, I still got to play in the pitch. So. Who plays left back? Maybe Saiz. Saiz did a decent job there.
If he's healthy.
Where's he gone now? He's vanished.
Yeah.
Not on the bench again, and
oh yeah, I didn't even look about that. He wasn't on the bench today.
Yeah,
wow.
not on the bench even. Yeah, we keep our cards close to our chest when it comes to injuries, but I think they'll get asked what's the severity there, because that's 2 games now, not really a mention of what's causing the absence.
Yeah, if not him, I guess Semedo on the left and Hover on the right.
I'm the same at the moment. After Saturday's shambles, going to 5 at the back and not a fat lot happening going forwards, I'm happy to stay with the 4. I'd rather lose 3-2 than 1-0. That's my thinking through to the end of the season. So
as long as we weren't 2 up at some point, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's leaning me to go to the more of the fullbacks again rather than stick Kilman out of position. So that's what I'd go for. I'd go for the 4-2-3-1. And as we mentioned previously, maybe Podence starts off the bench for Vitana, or we see some fresh legs in the midfield again, because even though you got the match winner, that's 2 90 minutes on the bounce pretty much from Moutinho. So those legs may not last a third 90 minutes in a week. Whether Dendoncker comes back for one of him or Neves may be there. But yeah, apart from that, I'm still okay with the 4 and take it from there.
I will be interested to see if they try Hoover at left back. I know he's been mostly at right back, but at the same time, you stuck Kilman out there at left back, and he's never done that. Because I don't think Semedo's as good on the left side, so they may try just early on, see if Hoover can play on that left side. If he can, great. If not, then you switch it after 20, 30 minutes or so and go from there. Paul, you said that you're expecting the 4-2-3-1 again. What about you, David?
I honestly don't know what to expect. I was saying to my wife earlier this week, it's like, what a difference a year makes. I even leaving the pandemic aside, a year ago, we were, 5th, 6th, dreaming of Champions League, still in the Europa League. Villa were all but relegated. And now, I know some people get annoyed when we talk about maybe we might be almost, possibly, potentially, if we're not careful, almost potentially in a relegation fight. And Villa are going from strength to strength. It's like, what a weird year. And one of our strengths was always, you knew how we were going to play. It's going to be 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, something like that, one of 2 formations. Now, for various reasons, some self-inflicted, selling Doherty and Jota, others injuries, others just trying to change their style. I don't know what to expect. I saw 2 versions of the lineup today, whether it was 4 at the back or 5 at the back, even with the same guy. I trusted the one that was on the Wolves app. I thought that's, I have a high level of confidence that Wolves actually know what format, what lineup we're playing. I don't know. I thought we did, 5 at the back worked really well against Chelsea, and I think it worked pretty well against Palace for that point in our season where it was crucial that we stopped conceding goals. And a boring 0 against Chelsea was exactly what we needed. And a boring 0-0 against Palace would have been great. 2-0 draws. We haven't lost in 2. That would be a good way to start righting the ship. So, going to 4 at the back today and getting a win against Arsenal, okay, that's great as well. But I think defensively, we were very lucky today. So maybe I think we need to start becoming hard to beat again. And if sacrificing chances up front is what we have to do that, I think 5 at the back is the formation to stick with. And then it gives you a little more security with Semedo and Hover or whoever you put at left back. with those three centre backs. You've got a little more coverage. So I would that's what I wouldn't object to that. Went with the four at the back today, so maybe we'll do the same Sunday. I honestly don't know what to expect.
I will say Paul yesterday on our group text did call the four in the back, so good job, Paul. You saw that. It wouldn't shock me if they tried the four back again, but I'm with you, David. I think that the five in the back may be the best idea for this game, especially if you're going to give Podence a little bit of a breather. You can start Hoover and Kilman in the back, and then at halftime, let's see how it goes. If it's 0-0, maybe 60th minute, then you take off Kilman and put in Podence or Batana and move to a back four and go for it from there. That's the way I'd play it, just to, again, feel out Leicester. But I don't know. It's the air.
Exactly. And I think the other difference is Chelsea was away, Palace was away, Arsenal's at home, Leicester's at home. So generally you want to be more attacking at home. So
one thing we haven't seen for a while that I think there's some potential in, especially that we've got a senior forward now, is a 5-3-2. So back to the glory days of Jimenez and Jota when they were on it. That was a distinct 5-3-2 with the three midfielders and the two more central. And I think I talk about Neto more than some family members. I love him that much. But I see him as a central striker as well in the two from the left-hand side. I think he's got the potential to do what Jota did there and more. So that's an option, and it gives some flexibility to, if Adama needs some time off, he can come on if needs be in the second half. We can be more solid in the midfield by having a more further forward midfielder playing, if it's Vitana, if he's coming in to give one of the guys some legs there. My only reservation on that formation, the 5-3-2, was that the wing backs were so crucial in that formation. That was our attacking outlet a lot of the times, and at the moment that's not really there with the guys that we can pick from, especially if Semedo isn't on the right.
Do you think that formation would work if Semedo was on the left and they put Adama at right wing back? I know the results have been mixed there, but if it's going to be just a two-man front with Willian and Neto, it could work.
Yeah, at home I wouldn't rule it out, because I think we saw some flashes and certainly our more attacking play after going a goal down on Saturday at Palace. We were in Adama came on, and he definitely had that right wing berth in that game. So the body of work at the start of the season wasn't so great at right wing back, but I'm going to look back to more previous times like Man City away last season, where he did great right wing back, and then he got pushed up front and got the 2 goals at the end of the game. And even back to our first year back in the EPL, he started the likes of Cardiff at home and did well. But yeah, there's some flexibility there, and it's going to be up to not only the players that we've got available, but the opposition and the players that they're going to come up against on Sunday, because they've got some talent in their forward line. So it's one eye on those guys as well.
Yeah, I think Nuno probably looks at Leicester the same as Arsenal, potentially very dangerous attacking teams. So probably going to be 4 at the back, thinking about it. It's just who are the 2 wide defenders. You've got 2 great choices at right back, right wing back, or right back, Semenki and Hover. It's who do you put on the left?
Yeah. Willy Volley anyway? He's left-footed. That might work, right?
He's not. He's right-footed. Just
that's right.
On the left. So, yeah. Just come back, Johnny. I'd love Johnny in the back 4. I think he'd be phenomenal.
That's more of his natural position, right? Fullback, not necessarily wing back. Because I always thought Doherty was a much more attacking fullback, and you didn't really see. And I'm happy to be shown wrong on this, but it always felt to me that Doherty was a much more attacking wing back than Johnny ever was. But yes, Johnny will push forward and he will overlap and he will put crosses in and get to the edge of the box. But there were times, I think one of the NBC post-game shows, maybe it was the build up to the season, there were many times, I think it might have been against Man City at home, where Doherty was our most forward player. He was in front of even Jota, Jimenez, and Traore. And I think Johnny has always been a little less of an attacking fullback, which if you're in a back four, you obviously want that because you have less people at the back and you don't want them going too far forward. And so, yeah, I think he'd be phenomenal in a back four. But actually, ironically enough, Johnny's actually a right back who can play on the left. So look, we've got 15 right-sided defenders and no left-sided defenders.
Sounds like the U.S. men's national team. I will say that I think Tottenham fans will definitely agree that Doherty is a much better wingback than he is in a back four. I think they figured that out the hard way. So thanks for the 15 mil, guys. Adios.
That felt like a bit of a rip-off for us at the time. A friend of mine's a Tottenham fan, and he was like ecstatic because he loved Doherty in fantasy football and picking him up for 15. And wow, that's great. I'm really excited. So I still think we could have got more than 15 for him. But in retrospect, it was a good deal.
So now for the time for predictions, which Paul gave us the update that we are really bad at this. So do not go to Vegas with our predictions here, but we'll start with you, David. What's your predicted final score against Leicester?
I cannot predict that Wolves will lose. I there's just something inside me that doesn't let me do that. I'll go with 2-1 Wolves. I'm going to be optimistic.
I struggle with predicting a loss as well, but my optimism doesn't quite stretch to a win, so I'll go entertaining 2-2. I think today's bonus win and a point on Sunday would be a really good return from these two games.
Yeah, great point.
I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. 1-1 draw with both of those goals in the first half, and then everybody just camps out in the second half with both teams content for a point. And I'd take a point this weekend against Leicester. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Look, we're not competing for Champions League, so every point helps right now.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, we're only 13 points off.
It's a crazy season. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Hey, Southampton lost 9-0 again.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
it's got to be a record.
Our game was crazy, man.
That's got to be a record. 2 9-0 defeats in consecutive seasons, and 2 teams end up with 9 players on the same day. Got to be a record.
Have you seen that Twitter handle that must be a Southampton fan that set up and said, it just says, have they mentioned the 9-0 again? Because that 9-0 from last season was like our Max Kilman plays futsal. Like every commentator includes it, and that Twitter profile was just, is this honestly going to happen again?
We had your Falls group chat with when Kilman's, not so much now because I think people have got over it, but we have, I think there's 3 sayings that we always say. I have a bet on what minute is it going to be. There's Max Kilman futsal. Someone's got to mention that Semedo's last game was the 8-2 thrashing with Barcelona, and Wolves never score in the first half. That's the other one. There's 3. It's like a drinking game.
You could also put in there Adama has no end product. That would probably be the 4th one.
That's a good one as well. Yeah.
So real quick, we'll touch on the transfer window. It closed on Monday. Not a lot of action, which is what we expected. Catrone did head back out on loan. We hardly knew you, but I felt like that was the move to make, especially once they brought in Willian. Did you guys agree with sending him back out?
Yeah, I think so. Willian, I was a little, in all honesty, I think I'm probably a little disappointed, but given the circumstances and what everybody had said, it's not surprising. If we hadn't got Willian, then I think we potentially could have been in big trouble, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one that needed to be done, and thankfully we did that. Would I have liked to pick up another forward if we were shipping Catrone out? Yeah, but I don't think that doesn't seem like Fosun's style to go splashing money in January. So fair enough. I think they know what they're doing. So clearly, I don't think Nuno had faith in Catrone. I know we all wanted him to succeed because we love the song. He wasn't doing it on the pitch. Nuno's not going to stick with someone that he doesn't think is also. And it's not fair for Catroni to be sitting on the bench for another half season. He needs to be playing football. He's only 22, 23. Get him to Valencia and good luck to him. No hard feelings. So I think overall it was okay. Overall, it was okay.
The interesting part of that move is the Valencia link up, though, which is part of old Mendes' carousel. So is that an inkling to something happening in the future, or is that a favour for us to put him there for 6 months and see if he can do something there and bump up his value? Is it just all these moving Game of Thrones pieces that he's put in here, there, and everywhere? So that was interesting that their names suddenly came out of the blue, and Foppy and heads to Spain.
Do you think Mendes has that big board that you see of people that are trying to solve who the serial killer is? And he's got just like pictures of the faces with tax on where they're at, and it's going all over the place? Because I could see that. It's probably instead of string, it's torn up money. Since he's got so much to burn.
I think for the transfer window as a whole, we've never been really a big January spender. We weren't last year pre-pandemic, and it was a case of identifying a target, which was Podence last year, and that was the one deal. And the same again this year. We needed that forward, and Willian came in, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it was obvious that they were looking at a striker really early when that January window opened. I think that's what was to be expected. None of the names that are previously mentioned, I don't really think went anywhere, like the likes of Renato Sanchez. He was more linked with Liverpool. I think he stayed where he was. There was talk, I think yesterday, very vaguely, of William Carvalho for midfield. Whether there was any legs in that we need some help in the middle of the park, I don't know. But those last minute,
Douglas Costa, right?
Yeah, and they're still out there doing nothing, aren't they? So it's a crazy year to do any type of prediction. In this January.
I don't think Fosun they're not going to go throw massive numbers to solve a problem. They're investing in the future, spending 30. I read this article that was saying we don't even know if the season is going to finish. Mm-hmm. There's still a chance it'll be abandoned. I don't think it will, but there's still a chance. Even if it competes, what are the European competitions going to be like? Are they going to cut back the number of places, or what are they going to do? So even if Fosun were prepared to splash the cash and bring in Giroud and spend big money to bring in a striker to turn it around, what's the return on that going to be when in a season that might be abandoned, and to get into European competitions that might be abandoned? That they're not going to do that. I think we obviously can't risk going down. That's definitely something worth spending on, but it's a long-term project. I think that's their perspective. So.
So what do we have in the No Stupid Questions inbox this week, Paul?
No stupid questions. That part of the show where you listeners get in touch across our socials, be it Facebook or Twitter or email or our website, and ask us anything you want when it comes to the Wolves. If it's historical, if it's something about the Molineux or the matchday experience, literally anything. If you think it's stupid, it's probably not. Go ahead and ask it. Our social media whiz kid, Ron Firth up in Canada, has tweeted us this week with a no stupid question. And he asks, why is it that Wolves seem to always play in the rain? And Ron, young man, that's because it's a dark cloud that the Wolves always play under. No, I'm joking. That's the doom and gloom merchant. But it's just a case at the moment that it's seasonal, and the UK in end of January, early February is not the most pleasant of places when it comes to the weather. And Wolverhampton is not really the sunniest part of the world on the best of the days. That's the reason why. And places like Manchester
Manchester
are
is legendary for that.
legendary for tipping it down in rain, even if it's in the middle of the summer as well. It's seasonal. December, if you watch the Arsenal game at the Albion over Christmas, that was heavy snow and yellow ball and marking the lines out. So it can get pretty bleak. It won't be the minus temperatures, the likes of Green Bay for a football game and the ice bowl and things like that. But yeah, you'll get players wearing their gloves certainly through this month, and maybe start of March it starts to pick back up again. April showers, and usually it's kind of sunny to see out May time.
I do love how Nuno has the jacket with the hood, but refuses to put it on when it's like biblical rain out there. I'm like, that's a boss move. That's a boss move right there. As we wrap up, David, remind the listeners how they can get a hold of you and New York Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Wolves Dave on Twitter. New York Wolves is NYC Wolves fans at Twitter. And we also have a website, nycwolves.com. And we will absolutely be having another Faux Sunday as soon as this virus and the associated authorities let us do it. Fosun had actually reached out to us beginning of last year, probably about a year ago, and wanted to do another event at Fosun Skyscraper in Manhattan. Obviously, that all fell by the wayside. But yeah, follow us. We're on Facebook, New York Wolves. Twitter is NYC Wolves fans. The website is NYC Wolves. We're also part of the Worldwide Wolves Network that you can find on the Wolves site. And the next Faux Sunday, which might be on a Saturday or Friday, will be a great event. We'd love to welcome fans from all over the world to that when it happens. Let's stay positive.
Let us know. Maybe me and Paul can make a road trip up there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listeners, thanks for your continued support. If you're tuning in for the first time, hit that subscribe button, like the podcast on socials, share it, give us a 5-star review on your podcast listening platform of choice. This helps us a ton with our exposure. We'll be back again next week following the Leicester game and to preview that big Southampton back-to-back games, which is going to be pretty exciting, and I think will be a big highlight for our season potentially. So a big week coming up. In the meantime, stay safe out there, folks. Look after you and your pack. In Nuno we trust, and up the Wolves.